Welcome to another episode of the Chronic Comeback Podcast. It's not really much of an episode today. This is more of an announcement, and just to talk you through kind of, I guess, where I'm at the moment, and just talk through just a couple of changes that I need to make with the podcast and a few other things. Really, normally I've got like a couple of notes to prompt me, but I don't have any of that. So hopefully this flows fairly well. So currently it's the date I'm recording this is the 31st of December. So New Year's Eve. I'm currently in a hotel room in Jakarta, in Indonesia, and I have been for the last week. And this is my, for those of you who can't see what I'm doing right now, I'm showing like a band that I have to wear. It's a quarantine band. So basically I haven't left this hotel room for a week. I don't know what's more worrying, the fact that I haven't been outside for a week, or the fact that it's actually not been too bad. And it shows that I can be on my own a little bit too easily. That being said, no, you definitely have some, I think it's because I've had a lot to do with work, and I've been doing this brain retraining stuff, which I'll talk about. So that's been a lot. So it's kind of felt like the days have been quite short, actually, which I think meant as like things have gone like a lot quicker than I expected, and maybe I haven't got as much done as I would have liked. But yeah, there's definitely some lows. I was here on Christmas Day, so that wasn't ideal, and yeah, there's definitely some lows for sure. But just it's all part of, I guess, getting to Bali, which I'm going to do on Sunday. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that after kind of months of talking about it. Finally gonna be there. So yeah, explains why I've got this horrendous. Again, for those of you who can't see, I've got horrendous looking facial hair. My skin is a nice milky white, so I'll be having a shave yesterday before I leave. I was going to before this podcast, but then I just thought, no, I'm not gonna. I put wax in my hair. That's about the most I've done this week. So yeah, as I said, I've started after months of talking about it and saying I was going to do it. When I was going to go to Bali, I am actually doing what I said. So I'm doing the Vital Side program, and I started this week. It's fucking overwhelming, and immediately I have and it's the same happened with the Gupta program. Immediately having these thoughts of, oh, I can't do this, it just doesn't, and making excuses as to why I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm just getting slightly worried now, actually, with this quarantine. Someone's going to ring the doorbell and bring me food. It's like being in prison, but like a really nice prison that I get my meals brought to me 3 times a day. And it's about that time now. I'm getting totally fed up with the food, though. So anyway, sorry. What was I saying? So the brain retraining. Yeah. So I'm really having to have a mental battle about it all. And a lot of the same doubts and anxieties around the whole thing of like telling myself I can't do it, coming up the same as like with the Gupta program. And so I'm realizing that, it's going to be fucking difficult. I'm sure everyone finds it really difficult. I just feel like maybe some people find it easier than others, a bit like with meditation and stuff like that. It just comes really, because I also, so a lot of brain retraining stuff, like I don't have the problem with doing the thing in the morning where you do like your rounds and stuff in the morning. And then if I could just do that and then that was it, I think that would be fine. It's just the fact that you've got to stop yourself constantly throughout the day. And because I'm working in the day, which is, a struggle at times anyway, then I've got to keep stopping myself in work, and I don't know, the whole thing just boggles my mind a little bit. But anyway, I've set up a call with Lindsay, who's actually on the podcast, and I'm going to go through it with her, and kind of I feel like that's going to be really helpful, having someone who's who I'm speaking to, spending more money, but I think it's good money to be spent. So yeah, I wasn't here to talk about the brain retraining, but just to kind of let you guys know where I'm at. And then I guess so what I've been looking at doing is looking at my January and like thinking about how I've been so excited about like having my mornings free. So what I was planning on doing is having my mornings free so I could literally just focus on the brain retraining and the health stuff. I think I've mentioned on other podcasts that there's these like spas and gyms where you can have ice baths and infrared saunas, and there's loads of kind of therapy you can have, red light therapy, hyperbaric oxygen, it's like float tanks, just all different kinds of things, which is just really cool to be able to do. And I've spent my life just putting work over my health, and still to this day I'm still doing it, and so my goal was to my plan was to just look at health stuff in the morning and like self-care essentially, and try and focus on just working in the afternoon and try to switch off as early as I can do in the evening. So ideally like 7 p.m, which is difficult because I've got, the work I do is I have to speak to people in the UK, but that was the plan anyway. And then I looked at January with all the podcasts I've got recorded, got to record, and I had about like 8 of them, all at like anywhere between like 8 and 10 in the morning, exactly when I'm meant to be doing brain retraining and all this kind of health self-care stuff. And so I said to Brian, podcast manager, who's amazing, I said to him, right, okay, these are fine, let's keep these, but next month we've got to do a different time zone thing, so only in the afternoon. And unfortunately that's just gonna have to mean I can't speak to people from the US, which is unfortunate because they make up a lot of my guests, but just for a little while I'm gonna have to do that. But the reason why I wanted to continue on with those episodes because I've already got a bank of episodes and I wanted to make sure I can keep releasing 2 a week, and that the reason why that's really important to me is because it's been growing a lot quicker. I noticed that when it's just 1 episode a week, it just grows so much slower, and it's just reaching so many more people at the moment. It's interesting. All I do is record. I don't do anything else with social media and everything. Brian does all of that. So it's really interesting just to watch it grow and just watch, the number of people increase that it's impacting, which is just an amazing, feeling for me. And I get to speak to more people and I get exposure to more things. So then that was the plan. And then I was like, I've slept on it like overnight, and I've just looked at like the 31st of December, and I look at it and I'm like, I'm repeating the same mistakes. I'm putting work, although I don't see the podcast as work, it's definitely in that realm because it's not directly for my health, although it does help. I'm putting that over my health. And really what I should be doing is scaling back and putting out 1 episode a week and not speaking to people in the US for now, so I can have my whole mornings free. So that's the decision I've made. For the next 2 months, I'm gonna only release 1 episode of interviews every week. And what I'm going to try to do maybe is try and do, if I can get another episode out of me, of a solo episode, then I'll do that as well. That's really difficult for me because I have this like a lot of people with chronic illness, I've got an achiever mentality. Like when I go at something, I really want it to be a success and I want it to grow and I want it to see it grow. And to know that by doing this, I'm actually negatively impacting the podcast is really, really difficult for me. But I actually, when you're on airplanes, and I think I've mentioned it in podcasts before, when they say, put your own mask on before you, attend to the person next to you. And I think I've just got to take that advice, and I've just got to, I keep saying I've got to prioritize my health over my work. And although I try to do it, I don't think I ever fully do it. And I think this is a big step for me to do that, because I've still got to work in the afternoons as well. So I think I have a tendency of just like booking stuff in and then worrying about it on the day. And then I find myself completely overwhelmed that I've got, a podcast whack in the middle of all this stuff. So I don't do all my health stuff and I've got to work in the afternoon. It's just not going to work. So really just putting this out there to let you guys know, also just apologize that you're not going to be getting as much content. from me in terms of actual recovery stories. But, I did have a thought about actually just having a hiatus on the podcast for like 2 months, which I actually did do before, but that's when I wasn't putting out 2 episodes a week. But then I just thought I can't do that because I just do think it is helping a lot of people right now. And I think 1 episode a week can still definitely do that. I think if people are doing all the other things as well, I think 1 episode a week can definitely still really help people. The other thing, I guess, and the other thing, which is really sad, that I'm for the next couple of months, I'm going to have to not speak to people. I can only really speak to people from the UK or Europe and like this side of the world, because otherwise, if I speak to people in the US, I have to speak to them in the morning, which again, I'm pretty bad at setting boundaries. Like I just tend to just go along with it and just do it. And I feel like this is a time where I have to set a boundary, and I feel bad because I want on the people listening, but then also feel bad on the people wanting to tell their story. But then I know that the people who have recovered, they'll get it. I'm assuming they'll get it. I'm 100% sure they'll get it. And I just hope that everyone listening to this also gets it. That I just need to, I've been thinking about this for quite a long time, like coming out here, and I think I'd be wasting my opportunity if I didn't make these changes now, and rather than a couple of months down the line realizing I'm overwhelmed. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is I've deleted Instagram, as in I've deleted the app of Instagram, and because I've run a business on the side, and a big part of that business is it's a product-based business, and we're quite active on Instagram, and I've been running that a lot, and now I'm trying to hire someone to manage that. And Brian actually manages this Instagram, so I don't do anything. However, I'm always in the DMs, and I get such amazing, nice messages. Like, it's really nice to go in there and respond to those. But I guess I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm not going to be, Brian's going to be like monitoring that, and he'll let me know about messages and stuff, and like maybe I can respond through him. But in general, if you're reaching out to me for at least until March, like I'm just going to have a break. I already thought it, and then I started doing the brain retraining stuff, and they said if you can have a break from social media, then that's a good idea. And I completely agree. I mean, I to be honest, I think social media is an amazing thing in a lot of ways, but it can be really, really bad as well, particularly for someone with chronic health issues, although it can be good if you're following the right kind of accounts. But it's just, for me right now, it's just important that I'm off, particularly Instagram, but Facebook as well. But I won't really be responding to those. So that's it really. Like, I guess my last thing is, I think I probably could put out 2 episodes a week if I was putting out a solo episode every week. I'd need to think of enough things to talk about that would be of interest to people, because I don't just want to put stuff like an hour of me talking about shit. So I guess just want to get people's opinions, and like honest opinions. And I know certain people will come back and say, we'd love to see, I'm assuming there would be, a few people that would come out and say that they would like to see those solo episodes. But I also realize that's not really why you're listening to this podcast. You want it for inspiration of people who are recovering. So I don't want to put out solo episodes if they're not going to be almost as good as doing as a podcast guest episode. So for those, if you're watching this on YouTube, please just put it in the comments and just let me know if you do value them, because I've got certain subjects I'd like to talk about, a number of subjects that I'd like to talk about, of like, what it is to go through this kind of stuff, and just stuff that's, I feel, is helpful and could be inspiring to people. But again, I'm not recovered yet, so it's not inspiring that way. And so, people who aren't watching this on YouTube, if you could send a DM, and Brian will pick it up, or send an email, phil@thechroniccomeback.com, and Brian will pick that up, and just let me know if it is something that you would be interested in, because I think that I probably could put those out, because the thing with recording a solo episode, one, it's probably only 25, 30 minutes. I mean, this one will be less, but two, it doesn't involve like the research they have to go through, the cutting of the episodes, which Brian actually does, but like the organize, like being there at a certain time, I can just suddenly just decide to record it. And so when you're doing a solo episode, it's whilst and I could, if I decide I don't want to put one out that week, I can do that as well. Whereas when I've got it scheduled in to record with people, then it's a lot more of a commitment and it's a lot more of my headspace. So yeah, that's it really. Apologies to kind of like, I guess it's not more of a positive announcement, but it is for me, I guess. And it is for me to be able to get to the position where ultimately, like, I've done this podcast so I can help others and myself as well with, you know, inspire all of us with recovery stories from other people who come on the show and inspire us all to recover. Ultimately, you know, for me, it's my chronic comeback as well. Like, I want to be telling my end story as well. And I feel like I have to, I can't be, you know, on this podcast listening to all this great advice and then not following it. And I also can't be, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm like saying, oh, people should do this, people should do that. And then am I following it in its entirety? No, probably not. So this is really, although it's a little bit of a negative and I need to scale stuff back a little bit, for me, it's a case of taking a step backwards to go, you know, yeah, to go many steps forward. And on that, I might as well announce this on this episode. And I have talked about it before, but I haven't booked it in yet. So until it's booked in, it's not fully done. And it's quite a scary thought, but I'd said that, you know, I want to be in July, I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And I know people watching this and listening to me say, like, I'm working and stuff like that, they might think that that's okay. Well, it's, you know, you seem healthy, you know, that's like an attainable thing for you to do, and it definitely is attainable. But maybe it looks a lot more achievable for you. But like right now, like I can't run, I can't jog, I can't lift weights, I can't do press ups, I can't do any of those kinds of things. Whenever I walk down a hill, my knee's in absolute agony. So right now, the actual thought of me being able to do that is just like, it kind of feels, I don't want to say the word impossible, but close. But I know it is possible. And what I talked about in my last solo episode about thinking big, and this is my version of thinking big for this year. And I know that regardless of how I feel physically at the top of that, I know I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And I'm putting it out there for the world. And so I'm not even going to put a but, or that might not happen, or no, it has to happen. But I have to do the right things in the months leading up to that, which is starting now, which is starting about, you know, me making these changes with the podcast. So hopefully you guys all respect that. I'm not going anywhere. It's just gonna be a couple of months of scaling back, maybe a little bit more, I don't know, and then we'll go at it full throttle. And if anything, yeah, it is like taking one step back to take many steps forward, because what I would like to do ultimately is actually put out more content, more than 2 episodes a week when I can. And my work situation will have changed like later on in the year. My business is taking off a lot more, which means I don't have to do my day job stuff as much. And once that happens, I'll have a lot more time to put into this podcast, which I want to do. Anyway, sorry that's been a really boring kind of life update, podcast update episode. Wasn't inspiring in the slightest, and it will have taken up a slot for this week. So apologies, but I hope you're all well. I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you're going to have an even better new year. Make sure to follow through on all your goals. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to kind of catching up with everyone on the other side of this, like in a few months' time, when I've been able to kind of like embed a lot of these trainings and learnings and everything that I'm doing, and I can really look to update you guys even more then. Okay, thanks guys.